Hi. All right, this is it for our testing. Uh, two more videos, man, before this book finishes, which is intense. Fear not, I have one that's full to the brink. It's fascinating because this is one of those examples where every other day I basically write one note. Some days I write more, but overall I have over 100 in this book alone. Definitely over 100. I'll count some later just for the sake. And this book has an Easter egg because midway through in the summer, I was writing a thought and my cousin saw me. So she wrote it. She was like, this is something I want you to read at some point. So I'm excited to get to it. I still haven't read it, by the way. That's basically power of focus and concentration. Today's video is it's almost always easier to let go of something than grabbing something new. And I put here some context, my knee healing and no longer clicking. It's almost always easier to let go of something than grabbing something new. And so, like, a few things pop to my mind instantly. First things first, my knee used to give me issues, and it doesn't anymore. Just funny because I systematically tried to train it in order for me to strengthen it. But the problem was not that, it was just I always attempted to do something, and all my attempts were like everything starts from somewhere, right? But what if that somewhere is wrong? And maybe I could use this to go back, like, I think about 4 or 5 years ago. I got into an accident, I think 2019. And after that accident, I started feeling discomfort in my back. And when I went to a doctor, they were like, "Oh, you're fine. You'll get used to it. It'll get better. It'll get better. It'll get better." What happened is, like, because of that, basically start thinking, it's like, okay, if it's hurting like this, let me sit this way, and if it's hurting this way, I do this and I do that, and eventually the pain kind of shifted from one position to another. And between me acknowledging the pain all the time and just kind of like always noticing it's there, probably that is because it was there, and another point was probably because I was I it became a thing that I talked about. Oh, I got into an accident. Oh, I got into an accident. I think we do this. We kind of like hold on to certain things and we use them. They become part of our story, and then we kind of like use them as a clutch for whatever reason. In the like, uh, maybe going back to events, right? Or just basically, they become excuses after a while. Because at one point you look at them and you go like, when am I gonna be over them, or when is it gonna move on? But my change in mindset was when I was like, you know what? If I'm going to live my life with my knee, basically, I feel it. Like when you're walking, you feel it, and when you're trying to do anything, you feel it. When I'm trying to work out, I feel it. And ultimately, it's because I always just was trying to work out in a way that supports it, but the baseline that I had was wrong. And I think one day I was like, it was one of those uh, moments where I realized that there has been a solid opinion slash judgment from my side that I know what the fuck I'm doing, or at the very least, my direction is better than the direction my body would go. Because I was insisting based on my knowledge what is required for my knee to get better. And that's how I'm explaining it right now. Because ultimately, like, we're learning from anything we learn from something that already exists. And how we translate that knowledge creates a certain imposition where we impose a certain train of thoughts and we try to kind of like control and and build accordingly. And I remember that day I went to the gym, or if I'm not mistaken, I was walking up the stairs. And I was like, instead of walking in a way or attempting to walk in a way where I'm just monitoring my knee, let me just run up the stairs. And it's funny because when I'm running, I me personally, I'm not really concerned how my body is moving because ultimately your mind is no longer focused on every piece of you. It's just focused on the whole kind of like moving fast, which requires a certain amount of trust, and it requires a big amount of trust, man, right? Because you're trusting that you're not gonna collapse. You're trusting that you're gonna turn properly. You're trusting that you're gonna find those. I don't know. It's just like find the steps and not miss them. But I ran up and it kind of hit me that my knee was just basically absent from my mind, and it really didn't feel any kind of way. It's just like it's exactly how it's supposed to be. It's there, and it's just part of the whole. And that train of thought got me thinking because effectively what I tried to do, because once I realized that there was some, once I realized that I'm feeling it, I kind of started tripping on the fact that maybe because I'm feeling it, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. Effectively, that's what happened. It's just because I started focusing more on it and focusing more on it and focusing more on it. The true reason was like I was misaligned. The bigger issue was I was misaligned. My back, because like I got into an accident once and I fixated on that. So until that started, instead of healing or instead of basically aligning in a way, because I focused on it, then basically the misalignment shifted and shifted and shifted. I remember at one point the misalignment was like I was feeling my ankles as well. It was like, what the fuck's going on? And then slowly, 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 it basically returned. That everything returned to the point where everything started, and then effectively I started walking differently and better. But instead of starting to have opinions, which I still have every once in a while, by the way, I go like, I'm gonna walk this way, and like 3 days later, I go like, fuck, man, why am I kind of like sore? Why is this frustrating? And that kind of like clicks again. Like, I'm imposing something instead of trusting my body to do its thing. So the essence of this script is it's almost always easier to let go of something because if you want to grab something new, and that's considering like my hand, right? Like how many things can I grab with my hand? How many things can I grab with my hand? At one point, I'm not going to be able to grab anymore. Now, as we get smarter, what we end up doing is we basically kind of like, I don't know, it's just like we start being creative in the things that we hold on to. We bundle them up. And so now I have like a pen, an earpod, I can hold like whatever, like a phone, and eventually basically, right? I'm just being creative in how I'm holding them. I'm like putting them, bundling up and putting them in the pouch. But it's really not an efficient approach, specifically because once you're looking at something new and you kind of like want to hold on to it, wouldn't you want to be holding it in a secure way? Wouldn't you want to understand what you're holding on to it? Wouldn't you want to pick the best way to handle it? All these things that should potentially come to mind instead of just holding it. And if we approach things in such a manner, then effectively we know that like maybe I need to let go of some of the things that I'm holding in order for me to figure out how to hold the new stuff. And I think that's a sound mental check for everything we approach in our life. Because to hold on to something, you kind of have to let go of something. And letting go of something doesn't mean you lose it. It just means it's no longer at the forefront of your head. It's no longer a part of your day-to-day life. And letting go is not really about forgetting forgiving. It is more about the trust that it exists and you're able to go back to it anytime you want. But at the current moment, it's no longer a point of focus. Yeah, man, letting go is really just about you seeing yourself as capable, or at the very least, realizing that the only thing you can rely on is yourself and not the things you're holding on to. Because the things you're holding on to were supposed to basically exist for a purpose, and eventually they cramp your style because they stop serving that purpose, or the purpose is served. So why do you have them, right? My best example is an umbrella. When it's raining, an umbrella is exactly what you need, but when it's not raining, it becomes a burden. It becomes space. Summertime, you hide the umbrella exactly where you can't see it in the house. But come winter, it's at the entry point. As you're leaving and as you're going in, there's a space designated for it. And I think that's the metaphor I would like to kind of like engage with. It's a video